The billionaire never expected this day to turn into a whirlwind of shock and confusion. She had returned home early, hoping for a quiet afternoon in her sprawling mansion, but what she walked into made her freeze in place. In the grand living room, the janitor, someone she barely knew, was surrounded by her quadruplets, laughing, playing, and completely at ease. Her heart skipped a beat. How could this be happening? Her mind raced as she tried to understand the scene before her. She had always trusted her staff, but seeing her precious children in this unexpected way made her question everything. The janitor looked up, caught mid-action, a mix of surprise and worry on his face. The children, unaware of the tension, continued their playful chaos, oblivious to the storm brewing around them. Questions flooded her mind. Why were her quadruplets with the janitor? Had something happened to her nanny? Or was there a deeper story hidden behind those innocent smiles? As she took a cautious step forward, the room seemed to hold its breath. Every detail, every glance, hinted at something far beyond what she could have imagined. And just when she was about to speak, what she saw next stopped her in her tracks, leaving a shock she would never forget. Her mind flashed back to the past few weeks, trying to piece together how things had led to this moment. The janitor, Thomas, had always been quiet, diligent, almost invisible in the mansion, moving through rooms with a polite smile and unobtrusive presence. She had never imagined him in this position and turning her quadruplets, managing their chaos with an ease she herself struggled to maintain. Something didn't add up, and yet, watching the children giggle and hug him, she felt a strange mix of confusion and relief. She remembered the sleepless nights juggling work and motherhood, hiring nannies who never seemed to stay long enough to truly bond with her children. The mansion had always felt like a place of perfection, polished and orderly, but behind the walls, chaos had been quietly simmering. And now, seeing Thomas so naturally connected with her kids made her question everything she thought she knew about loyalty, trust, and family. As she stepped closer, she noticed subtle things she had never seen before. The way her youngest clung to Thomas's leg, the way he spoke to them with a patience she hadn't witnessed from anyone else. Each moment built the suspense, leaving her heart pounding. There was a story here, a secret she had yet to uncover, and whatever it was about to change everything she believed about her household. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself as questions swirled in her mind. Why had Thomas taken it upon himself to care for her quadruplets? Had something happened to the nanny that she didn't know about? Or had he simply stepped in when no one else would? Her heart tugged in conflicting directions, part anger, part curiosity, part admiration. She wanted answers, but the sight of her children so happy and secure made it hard to confront him harshly. From the corner of the room, her eldest looked up, eyes wide, sensing her presence but not fully understanding the tension. Thomas noticed her gaze and offered a nervous smile, hands raised slightly as if to explain or, perhaps, to protect himself. The billionaire's mind raced through possibilities. Could Thomas have uncovered something about her family she wasn't aware of? Or was there a secret in his past that now intersected with her life in ways she couldn't imagine? Meanwhile, her thoughts drifted to her hectic schedule. The endless board meetings, charity events, and press appearances. She had spent so much time building her empire that she rarely noticed the small, meaningful moments slipping through her fingers. And now, watching Thomas interact with her children in ways she had never been able to, she felt a pang of guilt she couldn't ignore. Something about this situation was bigger than it appeared. Something that could change her life forever, and she knew the answers were just out of reach. Her pulse quickened as she stepped closer, the silence in the room thick and almost suffocating. The children, sensing the shift in energy, clung tighter to Thomas, their laughter fading into cautious curiosity. She could see the tension in his posture, the subtle hesitation in his eyes, as if he was waiting for something, waiting for her to make the first move. Every instinct in her body screamed for answers, yet fear of what she might discover held her back. Questions flooded her mind. How long had Thomas been stepping in without her knowing? Was this simply kindness? Or had there been more at-play decisions he had made that could affect her children's future? She scanned the room, taking in every detail. Toys scattered across the floor, tiny handprints on the furniture, and the quiet way Thomas guided her children through their games. Almost like a father figure she had never anticipated, her quadruplets now looked at her expectantly, their tiny faces, innocent, yet strangely aware of the tension. Thomas swallowed hard, finally breaking the silence, his voice low and steady, but carrying a weight that made her heart skip. The words he was before she could even speak. Thomas took a cautious step back, his eyes darting toward the hallway, as if someone or something was there. The billionaire followed his gaze and froze. At the far end of the corridor, a small envelope lay on the floor, its edges slightly crumpled, as if it had been dropped in a hurry. Her heart pounded. Who had left it? And why here, in her own home? She bent down slowly, picking it up. The moment her fingers touched the paper, a chill ran through her. It wasn't just any note, it bore a message that hinted at secrets she had never imagined. Something about her children and Thomas that made her stomach twist. Thomas looked at her with a mixture of fear and urgency, as though he had been trying to protect her from this revelation. Sensing the tension, clustered around her legs, their tiny hands clutching her dress, She realized then that this wasn't just about a misunderstanding or misplaced trust, it was about a hidden truth that threatened to upend everything she thought she knew about her household. Questions spiraled through her mind faster than she could process. Was Thomas hiding a connection to her family she didn't know about? Was there someone else involved in this mystery? And most importantly, could she even trust the people closest to her? The room seemed to shrink around her as the stakes rose higher than ever, and the next moments promised to reveal a shocking twist she wasn't prepared for. She took a deep breath and finally opened the envelope. Inside was a photograph, one that made her gasp. It showed Thomas holding her quadruplets, but not in her mansion. They were outside, in a modest neighborhood she had never visited, smiling in a way that only children with true security could smile. Beneath the photo was a note. Asterisk, I promised your children a safe place when you couldn't be there. Trust me. Her eyes widened as pieces fell into place. Thomas hadn't been overstepping. He had been protecting them in ways she had never imagined, quietly filling a void she hadn't noticed while building her empire. Tears welled up as she looked at Thomas. He nodded slightly, his usual quiet demeanor replaced with a raw honesty she couldn't deny. The children hugged him tightly, and in that moment, she realized that family wasn't defined by wealth or status, it was defined by love, care, and the choices people made when no one was watching. Relief flooded her, but just as she was about to speak, the doorbell rang. Her heart skipped a beat. She opened the door to find a woman standing there, holding a small suitcase and a knowing smile on her face. I think it's time we finally meet, the woman said. Thomas's face paled, and the billionaire felt a shiver run down her spine. Whatever truth this woman carried was about to change everything again. About to speak could change everything: her trust, her understanding of her own home, and perhaps even her family's future. She took a trembling step forward, bracing herself. Whatever came next would be shocking, and she had no idea if she was ready for the truth. The billionaire stepped aside, letting the woman enter. She introduced herself as a distant relative who had been searching for the children's safety ever since a family dispute had left them vulnerable. The pieces suddenly made sense. Thomas had been protecting the quadruplets from more than just day-to-day mishaps. He had been shielding them from hidden dangers in her family history. The realization hit her hard. She had been so focused on wealth, status, and control that she hadn't noticed the quiet acts of love around her. The children, sensing no threat, ran to greet the new visitor with curious smiles, while the billionaire stood silently, letting the emotions wash over her. Thomas, once just a janitor in her eyes, had proven himself to be a guardian and a true friend, someone whose loyalty went beyond a job description. By the end of the day, the mansion felt warmer, fuller, and more alive than it had in years. She learned a lesson she would never forget. Family isn't defined by money, power, or appearances, it's defined by trust, love, and the courage to protect one another when it matters most. As she watched her quadruplets laughing with Thomas and their newfound relative, she realized that the greatest wealth in life isn't in her bank account, but in the people who truly care for her and her children.